This is a message to our African brothers and sisters in the Americas and in Europe. Whether you left the continent from a specific country and went to the Americas or Europe or wherever, or whether you were kidnapped from the continent and taken under slavery, this is a time for us to wake up as a continent and as black people all over the world. Because right now, what this coronavirus, COVID-19, China virus, whatever you choose to call it, what it has brought to the light is the fact that black people are going to be caught in between a rock and a hard place. So enough with the media propaganda that has been meant to keep you in mental captivity, in psychological bondage, with the thinking that you people in the diaspora, the African Americans, you're not even African Americans, you are Africans in America. You are Africans actually, you're black people, that's it. It is time to settle this chapter about our history, heritage, and our roots. This is the time, now or never. Because you see right now, every person is caring for their own. This morning I read a CNN news article that said that the projected death rate per day in the US is going to be somewhere between 1,000 and 1,600 death rate per day. We know what's happening in Italy and in the rest of Europe. So what happens if these deaths keep going up? Do you really think that they're going to give attention to the black people, the African people? No. Time is going to come when if they are letting their own people rot because they have nowhere to bury them. What about people like us? In the States, in Europe, you are the minority. Here on the continent, you are the majority because this is your home. I mean, enough with this media propaganda that has been meant to hate you, to make you hate where you come from. The truth is, with whatever the state of your home is your home. East or west, home is the best. So I encourage all of us to seriously start preparing ourselves psychologically and mentally and emotionally and physiologically to get reconciled to our heritage, to get reconciled to our roots, because for how long are we going to keep explaining to our kids, especially people in the diaspora, people that were kidnapped by the white folks under slavery? When will the story go on? We were brought here as slaves, and you have a heritage, because there they call you the minority. You understand? But down here you are the majority because this is your home. No one will recognize you walking down the street. I mean, Africa is Africa for black people on the continent and abroad. So this is a wake-up call. Begin to prepare yourselves. Begin to face your heritage. Begin to prepare to face your heritage. Prepare to face your roots. Prepare to get to come to terms with the fact that Africa is home. And no, we are not a poor continent, because each and every resource that is needed to power and sustain Western industry is here. We are not poor. They are just trying to blind our eyes. Both our people on the continent and abroad, they're trying to blind our eyes and try to cloud our psychology with the propaganda that we are sick, diseased, poor, hopeless, and just a continent that is destined for doom. That is not true. It is not true. Because the corporations, they will not leave Africa. Why would they not leave the motherland if we are so poor? If we are so unlucky, so diseased, and so littered with war, and so destabilized and so corrupt, why are they still here? That is the question. I mean, if these were the facts, then you wouldn't have any white people here. But all the time when the United Nations or the AU convenes, it is always about fostering ties. What do they mean when they say we want to foster ties with Africa? Fostering ties and ensuring cooperation means making sure that our resources flow out of the continent and continue to make them rich. They take resources here, they power their industries, and then they build things, smartphones and cars and laptops and motorbikes, and then they sell them to us using things that they brought from the continent, resources that they brought from the continent. It is time for African sons and daughters at home and abroad to begin to profit off of the natural resources, to begin to profit from what God gave to this continent, the wealth that is under the ground. It is time for you people, especially the Africans in the Americas, with the technical expertise in technology and in the health, the education, media and entertainment, and all these things. We need to bring them together and and ensure that Africa profits from her resources, and not just giving them all that they can take and getting nothing in return. They take resources here, they go make billions abroad, and then from the profit they take 5-10% from the profit of the resources they've gotten from the continent. The profit is what they give to us back as aid. I mean, how stupid is that? They come to the continent, they take the resources, they do whatever, they trade with them, they do whatever they want to, and then from the profit they make is what they give us as aid, and they turn the aid into a political bargaining chip. So we are paying for our aid. it's that crazy. But now is the time that we rise up as a continent and stop looking left, right, and center, and stop pointing fingers. Stop reinforcing the media propaganda that Africans on the continent don't like the Africans in the diaspora. That is a lie. And even on the continent, we should stop this media deception that the Africans in the Americas and in Europe and other parts of the world are not our brothers and sisters. By the virtue of the fact that they are black, they've got black skin, that's enough to qualify them as being in Africa, because we know that Africa is the genesis of all black people. So think about that. Begin to prepare yourself, because there is a mass revival that is coming in Africa. And in my lifetime, I always say, I will still be alive when Africa dominates the world affairs. So Africans at home and abroad, prepare to come back to the land and reconcile with your heritage, your roots, and with your culture. And we together, we can power this continent, and it's going to be the envy of the world.